Welcome to the week 4 go-to session. This is the final lecture of the month. Yay! Yes, believe it or not, we are in week 4. I think I said earlier in one of the lectures that, this is much more like a sprint than a marathon. If you think it goes quickly for you as a student, it goes just as quickly for us as instructors. I've been here 6 years, so do the math. I normally teach 2 sections, 2 courses, right? They're the same class, but 2 sections of students. Sometimes 3 when there's a overload, extra need. But yeah, do the math. Do the math. At least 50 students a month, 12 months a year, over 6 years. So that's 72 months. A lot of classes, lots of students. But yes, the time flies every time. And yeah, we're in week 4, okay? So Sunday is the official end of the class, though I will try to repeat a couple times that I tend to be pretty flexible. So if people have issues, like Anthony's has a computer that's completely down and fried and is getting repaired. I have, I think, 2 other students who are going through moves. Both moving here to Orlando to be here on the Full Sail campus. So yeah, when things like that are happening, or you get called in to work double shifts over the weekend, I'm pretty easygoing in terms of just let me know, and I'm okay with hand it in Monday if you need till Tuesday. Due dates do need to be respected, but I'm pretty flexible. After all, we aim for a 72-hour turnaround time. So right now I'm grading your essay drafts. So by tomorrow at 5 p.m. they will all be graded. But it's sort of hard for me to get angry when someone's paper comes in on Monday instead of Sunday night, because I might not have gotten to that paper until Tuesday or Wednesday anyway. So yeah, if life is throwing some curveballs at you, if there are some problems going on, just let me know. Okay. But Sunday is technically the end of the class. So you can see my screen, and we are here, week 4. You'll notice week 4 is different. There are no more Achieve modules, which maybe sounds awesome if you didn't like them. Maybe sounds disappointing because they were easy points, right? It's awesome getting those perfect 100s because you complete the Achieve module to 100%. That is replaced by a higher stakes activity, by the way. Peer review. So most of this lecture, we're going to talk about peer review. Okay, but there are a couple of other things I just want to get out of the way first. There's a final journal response. So just offer me some proof that you watched this lecture you're attending right now or listening to at home after the fact. And as usual, summarize the reading. Okay, just give me proof that you completed. I think the reading is a little bit lighter this week. But let's talk about the other 2 activities. Okay, revising. I'm actually not going to say too much about this because I think it's self-explanatory, right? We all know what the word revision means. Actually, the word indicates, right? So we got the word vision is kind of implied here, and the prefix re means to do something again. So yeah, you are taking a look. You are visioning something again. In plain spoken English, you're getting feedback on your essay draft. Though you'll get your typical feedback from me, but ideally, hopefully, you'll also get feedback from 2 of your classmates. Okay, so, and you're going to reuse that feedback to take one final attempt at your essay to put it in the absolute best condition it can be, and that's the version you're going to submit for Sunday. Because I think this is super self-explanatory, and you can, as always, read through the instructions on your own. There are explanations about why revision is important, that all people do it. Again, don't think so much in terms of English class. Show me a musician who just writes a song and I'm done. One take. The inspiration might come to you immediately. Paul McCartney once said that the famous song Yesterday came to him in a dream. So yeah, but still, they don't really do it in just one take and say done. They go back to it. Right? Same thing with visual artists. Same thing, well, with anything. Writers as well. Okay? So you can read some notes about what revision is and the spirit behind it. Here are some basic instructions. But essentially, yeah, you're getting feedback, and you're going to try to apply that feedback and produce your best draft, final draft possible, which is due on Sunday. This time around, you only have one example. My Jeep essay was sort of in its finished state when you had it as an asset for the essay draft activity. That Jeep paper did go through many revisions. I tend to do revisions as I'm writing. That's not, I think, how most people go about it. Most people kind of get it all out and then start fixing things. I work one sentence at a time. I they often say, for example, with sculpture, that you don't start by crafting a perfect nose and a perfect ear. No, you make big chunks in the clay, and then a head starts to take shape, and then you narrow down the specifics. I'm the opposite. I make the most beautiful nose you can imagine. And until that nose is perfect, I do not move on to the next thing. So yes, as I'm writing, I'm already revising, fixing, rewording, and then add another sentence. Then when a paragraph is complete, I read that paragraph and cannot move forward until that paragraph is satisfactory. There's no right or wrong way to go about revision, but the important thing here is that yes, people revise. So even though you definitely cleared a big hurdle by turning in the essay draft, there still is one final task, which is to revise. Because again, this is what people do. So you have one example of a revision. If you click this link, right, you get the Diet Coke paper. And you can see, I think her introduction is more ambitious this time around. Last time was pretty short, maybe half this length. I think there might be a little bit more information, not too much, but in the paragraph about the ad's use of music. But yeah, you can see that she's revised. As always, this paper, and if you want to go back to week 3, the Jeep essay, both are in excellent APA format. So again, if last week's lecture, where I essentially walked through the steps of APA, is not your best way of learning, and you learn best through example, then yeah, open up the Diet Coke paper and just imitate. Okay, if you can't remember, or if I said your references still weren't quite right, then open up this Diet Coke revision. Okay, and do the same thing. Last name, comma, first initial, date in parentheses. Although this is actually a mistake. It should not say August 2009. This is correct. You either have a year all alone, or like I said, if it's something that's published more frequently, like a YouTube video, like a newspaper article, like a website piece, where a more specific date is helpful, it should be year, comma, full name of the month, not abbreviation like FEB period, February 20th, okay? No TH, like 20th. So I don't know. She's got an error here. That makes me nervous because if we're going to show a revision, it should be a perfect revision. But okay, my point is you can always imitate right from the examples if you're unsure about APA things. And yes, revision means top to bottom. So some of you, and it's going to be dependent on how you did on the essay, right? Some people's revision tasks might be a little bit larger. If, for example, the paper still doesn't have a thesis, or if there are not 3 clear discussion points, if it's not a well-organized 5-paragraph essay, those big picture issues, I sometimes call them global issues. Okay, global in this case does not mean like world hunger, world poverty. Global just means like big picture. Okay, typically it's issues of thesis, content, organization. Some people still might need to work on those areas. On the other hand, some people who handed in a pretty solid draft, and I've read like, 3 really terrific papers so far. I haven't gotten through too many. I've only gotten through like 7 or 8. So don't panic. It's like, oh my God, he's only read 3 good ones. No, but 3 that, yes, they're in very good shape. And for those writers, most of their attention is going to need to be on the smaller stuff. So the opposite of global or big picture issues are local issues, okay? Meaning grammar, mechanics, APA, proofreading. In other words, kind of cleaning things up, tightening things up, making sure it is the cleanest, most perfect looking essay you can possibly do. For a lot of people, it's probably going to be a little bit of a combination of both. But if you've been following along with these lectures and you've been trying to implement the feedback you've been receiving from me all month, hopefully you should be in fairly solid shape, right? Because if you, for example, did well on the outline Or maybe you did okay on the outline, but you definitely took the feedback into consideration and produced a pretty solid essay draft. That means your revision task probably will be on the lighter side. But anyway, you'll get some indication of that definitely by 5 p.m. tomorrow when you have my feedback, and by the end of the week, hopefully from 2 of your classmates through the peer review process. Okay, let's see. The only other thing I have to say about revision is that there is a penalty for not revising. Okay, there's a 20-point penalty. So I can already anticipate one of your questions because it comes up every month. Do you need to massively revise? No, as I just said, some people, their revision task really will be fixing things, fixing wording, fixing grammar, giving it a really solid proofread, making sure that some of the nitpicky APA things are also fixed, right? That might be their revision task. That counts, okay? It depends. But yes, handing in the same file, because, okay, actually, let's take a look. This assignment is worth 15% of your overall grade. It is the largest by percentage. It's the most heavily weighted assignment of the month. So why would I give like 15% of your grade an A or B or even a C if all you've done is just uploaded the same file from the essay draft, right? Or almost the same file. Okay, that's of the many things that I've pointed out in the essay draft, hardly any of it's been addressed. And by the way, this is a reminder too. In the past, I would often just in my feedback say, your feedback is ready for you over at turnitin.com. And then that's where the student would go. The university wants us to provide the actual text of our feedback here on the FSL platform, so you don't have to go to Turnitin. But I really recommend going to turnitin.com. I can see who has visited their turnitin.com submission and who has not. And I don't really care that much. It's not like you get penalized for it. But those of you who do check, and hopefully we have a couple people with us tonight who do sometimes check over at turnitin.com. They don't just check their grade or read my feedback on the platform and never go to Turnitin. I do write comments in your actual submission, right? Actually, since we're going to need turnitin.com when we talk about peer review, because it is handled completely through turnitin.com, let me go to a past month. So I'm not revealing people's grades this month. But for example, let me go into the revision assignment from January. Okay. Actually, you know what? The revision's a bad example because revision, I sometimes keep things short and to the point, so I don't really make as many comments. Okay, here's the essay draft. And you see the little person symbol? It looks like they're reading. Those are the people who went to turnitin.com. Okay. They had their global feedback on FSO, but they went to the site. So, okay, so here's someone who got a 70. And I'm hoping I actually made comments in this one. But yeah, you can see, like, right here, I'm telling him that he's missing the words running ahead. I'm reminding him that this is not Times New Roman. Here I remind him that the N in his title needs to be capitalized. Okay, so I help. Sometimes I'm actually telling you quite literally what needs to be fixed. You just have to fix it. So yeah, you can imagine my frustration when it's revision time and I'm pointing out the exact same things. Like, wait a second, I already pointed out this last time. Or here, oh my God, look. Listen, instructors are not perfect people either. That's misspelled, indent. Right? I told him to indent last time. Why is this paragraph still not indented properly? Especially when I've pointed out all you need to do is fix it. So yeah, if you can, please visit Turnitin, because I've probably given you lots of help. So why not take it? So anyway, that's all I'm going to say about revision. If you have specific questions that I haven't mentioned, feel free to ask away in the chat, but I think I've covered the most important things. Yes, you do need to revise. No, you don't have to rewrite your paper entirely if it's already in pretty solid shape. Okay. And yes, everybody's revision task will probably be slightly different. So someone who receives a 95 on their essay draft, yeah, probably they're just going to have to concentrate on proofing, fixing maybe some occasional grammar issues, fixing some occasional APA nitpicks, and that's it, right? That's why, and by the way, that's not unfair. If that person has been doing well throughout the entire month, watching lectures, paying attention to the concepts presented in lectures, taking into account my feedback, then yes, the reward is you're in a pretty strong position come week 4 in terms of not having a huge revision task. Now, if you do have a slightly larger revision task, hopefully nobody has a massive revision task. I'm not laughing because I think it's funny. I'm just saying, yeah, hopefully the ideas have kind of stuck, or the basic concepts have been clear. Yeah, nobody should be in the position of having to like entirely rewrite a paper. That's not, yeah, I would never put people through that kind of torture. So there's your big assignment, right? So Sunday night at midnight, this is due. If you need an extension for whatever reason, just give me a heads up and let me know. The other guy is this bonus revision plan. This is extra credit, okay? I'm going to say in advance, you don't have to do this. In fact, you should be able to calculate within some reasonable proximity what your overall grade is in the course. You should have a guesstimate, like I'm doing kind of A work or B work, or maybe I'm between. If you're between, yeah, you might consider doing this extra credit assignment. It's only worth 5 points. Technically, the 5 points are supposed to be added to your professionalism grade, but because I give people almost universally 100s, unless they're missing activities for which there's a 5-point deduction, or like really egregious things like either bad behavior or unprofessional. Well, obviously it's called professionalism, but like cursing out the instructor or brazenly not following instructions or not applying feedback. There can be 5-point deductions for those as well, but most people are getting like hundreds. Occasionally someone might lose 5 points if they missed a single activity, but the professionalism grades are high. So I usually award the 5 points to the revision assignment itself because that's the highest stakes assignment. But anyway, the instructions are here. Essentially, you are summarizing the feedback you received. Now, we're going to talk about peer review in a moment. Peer review lasts all the way until Friday. So yeah, you sort of have to wait until Friday at midnight to get your feedback. Although I think you can get it sooner if 2 of your classmates do the activity sooner than that. But you can read through this on your own. But basically, you're summarizing my feedback, okay, in parts 1 and 2. Summarizing my feedback, your peers' feedback. Parts 3 and 4 ask for what you're specifically going to do in revision, both based on my feedback and your peers in terms of like what sort of big picture changes do you intend to make. And maybe you don't have any because maybe thesis, content, organization are already solid. And part 4 asks for what small, local, okay, so grammar, proofreading, spelling, and it even gives examples, right? You should try to be as specific as possible. Okay, my classmates indicate that paragraph 2 is unclear and lacks sufficient detail. I will fix development by adding information about X, Y, and Z. Vague. I will fix the development of my essay. Or here, like what specific grammar or proofreading or sentence level issues did I have? Vague. I will fix grammar, okay? And it's up to 5 points you can be awarded. So yeah, if someone just rushes through the bonus assignment, I don't have to award all 5 points. My advice here, again, is don't do this if you don't need the points. I mean, if you're one of those people who just loves getting as many points as possible or just sees it as an insult to one's own progress to ignore an activity, sure, complete it. I'll be happy to read it. But if you don't need these 5 points, okay, if you don't think you're between grades, not just between, let's say, a B plus and an A, but maybe between a B and a B plus, okay? If for any reason you think the 5 points are going to help you or are important, sure, do the bonus activity. But if you don't need them, I mean, I don't know. I would give yourself a break. This class does move fast. There's a lot to do. Why do an activity if it's not really going to have any results? What else do I need to say here? I think that's about it. If it doesn't happen often, but occasionally there's someone whose revision score is very, very high, like a 97, a 98, and a couple rare occurrences, perfect 100. Doesn't mean that the essay is absolutely perfect. I usually always spot something that's a tiny, tiny grammar issue, but I'm not cruel enough to split hairs, right? You got a 99. Screw it, 100. I'll take those 5 points and apply it to some earlier assignment, right? So if your essay got a 90, I'll raise it to a 95. But yeah, decide if you really need those extra credit points. Okay, is this all clear so far, people? So now let's spend the rest of the time talking about peer review. Okay, yeah, so here we are, week 4, peer review. Peer review is handled completely through Turnitin.com. You do not need an essay draft to have been submitted to complete the activity. This doesn't apply to most of you, but occasionally I have, like one of the students who's going through the move. Yeah, this person I anticipate maybe I'm still waiting for that person's essay draft. It might come in tonight, it might come in tomorrow night. But yeah, this person does not have to wait to start on peer review. Okay, you get 2 papers distributed to you automatically. I have 2 sections, but I just mix everybody into the same group and Turnitin.com because you're all completing the exact same assignments. So if you don't recognize the person's name, that's not a big deal. They are a classmate more or less because they're doing the exact same assignments. So I'm going to show you what the peer review prompts look like. So peer review, yeah. Okay. So this is actually the setup, but this is the only way that I can show the prompts. So you have 4 general prompts. They're based on something that's called the RISE model, which maybe you've been introduced to in a previous class. I'm not going to go into that because I don't think it's that interesting. Like it's pedagogically interesting, maybe for teachers of English, but yeah. So reflect, inquire, suggest, elevate. The first letters of each word spell the word rise, and it's a way to guarantee that students are generating good content. As you can see, each prompt has multiple questions. So the first one, state which advertisement was chosen. That's easy. So if the paper that's been distributed to you was written by John Smith and he's chosen the McDonald's ad first day, he has chosen the McDonald's ad first day. What is the thesis statement? By the way, if there is no thesis statement, you can absolutely and should point that out. Okay, because we're in week 4. We've been talking about thesis statements for 3 weeks now. If that's missing, yeah. What are the main points? So those are those 3 discussion points, right? So for the Jeep essay, I discussed the ad's use of color, the ad's imagery, the ad's tagline. Does this writer have 3 clear thesis points? What hook did the writer use? It's that opening move, okay? Did you like the opening move that kicks off the essay? I'm not going to read every question out loud. But yeah, there are multiple questions. You can see there's a minimum answer length of 100 words. And I don't have a way to recreate exactly how it looks on the student's end, but you will see a bar in the top left corner that shows you how close you're getting to 100 words. And no, I rarely go in and copy and paste your text and put in Microsoft Word and do a word count. I can usually eyeball like this here. I would guesstimate that this is probably 50 to 60 words. So it's 100 words isn't that long. And if you're answering each of these questions and doing so with care, you should not have an issue getting to 100 words. A couple cautions, okay? Because this is an assignment that I would love, again, to mostly give A's. And often that is the result. But the things that often hold students back from receiving an A on this assignment are as follows. First of all, answer these questions with specificity. Kind of like in that bonus activity we just looked at, the example of a specific response versus a vague response. For example, it says, based on the reflection you've done above, in other words, this first question, set of questions. What questions do you have about how your peer has presented the essay? I do wish that this question were a bit clearer, but these are not questions of general curiosity. So questions like, so why did you choose the McDonald's ad? Yeah, that's not a question that's connected to the writing. Or what did you like most about the Call of Duty ad? Do you like video games? So no, these are specific questions about the essay itself. And by the way, I have no problem with you adapting the questions. I'm more interested in the quality of your overall response. And so for this second one here, it's basically asking for specific opinions you have about the paper. What would you like more clarification about? So if there was a moment that was fuzzy or confusing, what was it? Were there ideas that you would like to see more of? Okay, so sometimes I'll come across a paragraph that feels a bit undercooked. This is the place to point these things out. Identify places where the flow of ideas seems jumbled or confusing. But here's the thing, you have to be specific. It's not enough to say, sometimes I felt confused in the essay. Because if you're the writer of that essay, do you have any idea where in your essay things were confusing? No. Even if your peer reviewer says, I sometimes stumbled in paragraph 3. Okay, that's a little bit better. There's something about paragraph 3. But what? Okay, so try to be as specific as possible. Joshua asks, can I write my response in Word first and copy and paste it into the Turnitin text box? Yes, absolutely. Beneath each prompt, you'll have an empty text box, kind of like what you see on FSO when you complete your weekly journals. I'm going to return to that question because, yes, I do think that's a good strategy because you can use Microsoft Word's tools, especially grammar check and spell check, before you put it in here, because that's another caution that I'm going to get to in a moment. But be very, very specific. I say this with a bit of hesitation because if it helps you to think of yourself as kind of like the instructor, be careful, okay? When I say like the instructor, I don't mean that you should be assigning a grade or taking a stern tone. I try not to take a stern tone. Sometimes I am quite frank, but yeah, I don't mean that. But what I'm suggesting is we've been talking about this assignment for 4 weeks now. I have, almost like a broken record, talked about thesis, having 3 clear discussion points in your thesis, using those 3 points to build your 5-paragraph essay, right? Introduction, 3 body paragraphs, each body paragraph focusing on each of those 3 points, and then a conclusion. Yeah, at this point, you should be comfortable enough with these concepts that at the very least, if you're at all confused about what to say in response to a paper, think about those things. In other words, think about the responses I've written to you. Think of the feedback that you've received. I know that not everybody always agrees with my feedback. Not everybody loves me as a teacher. I know that's shocking. Most people do, but not everyone. But still, put that aside. We've been talking about this for 4 weeks, so yeah, think about what we've been talking about in the lectures, what I've been saying in my feedback, and draw upon that. Because all of you should have the skill to be able to look at one of your classmates' 5-paragraph essays on one of the ads, right? Even though it may not be your ad. You should be able to read it and spot issues, okay? And not just issues, but things to praise, things that are working well. And yeah, draw upon that, okay? And if it helps you to think of yourself as like the teacher's aide or do so. I know there's a little bit of danger in that, but again, just stay away from like well, I'd give this an A if I were the teacher. Yeah, that drives me crazy. Because then if the student got like a C, suddenly I'm the bad guy, which I'm fine. I guess I am the bad guy. But yeah, that's not terribly helpful. Here, make 2 direct suggestions for how your peer can improve the work. So again, specificity, that's a big one for me. I need to remember with the weekly journals, I say that I need evidence that you watched the lecture and that you completed the readings. If you can show that, awesome. Kind of the same thing here. I need evidence that you read these 2 papers and that you read them with some care and that you've responded to it thoughtfully and helpfully. I'm less interested in like right or wrong answers or right or wrong advice than coming away with the sense that yes, this person spent time with these 2 papers. And I recommend obviously reading the papers, but reading it carefully, okay? And with an eye already out. Not necessarily to look for things that are wrong or bad, but just a critical reader, okay? You're not just reading for comfort or... I know it's not the most enjoyable thing to do. You'd probably much rather be playing a video game or watching a movie or microwaving a burrito. But for the 5 minutes or 10 minutes. 10 minutes is too long. 5 to 7 minutes it takes you to read through the paper. Yeah, do so with your eyes and your brain completely alert. And then when you respond to these prompts, have the paper open. Turn it in allows me to, I'm not going to open it up again, but maybe you even noticed, I can be typing my response to you on the right side of the screen, which is where I type my feedback, and be able to scroll up and down your paper. Because I need refreshers. Even though I just read it, sometimes I need to scroll back up to that introduction. What were her three thesis points again? Are they matching her 3 body paragraphs? Okay. Have the papers open so you can immediately go back to it and find those specifics. And that's sort of my promise, is that if I come away with the feeling that you've read both papers with care and that you're trying to be specific, thoughtful, and helpful in your responses, the grade almost certainly is going to be quite high. Now, the other thing that I'm going to caution about is the thing that kind of Joshua wasn't directly asking about, but touches on this when he said, can I first type my response in Word and then copy it over here? Yes, because when points are lost, they're lost either because the specificity isn't there, the person has rushed through the assignments. I don't really believe that they've read the papers with care. I don't really believe that their comments are as specific as they could be. So that's one way in which points are lost. The other one, and it is massive, so I do want to give a pretty big shout out here. Be careful. Is lack of proofreading. There's something about online only forms of writing that make people loosen up. Maybe it's because so much of your online writing is in the form of texts or Facebook updates or YouTube comments or just comment sections in general, where yes, people don't care, right? I don't mean that critically. I get it. It's not English class, so people don't capitalize. People slip into text speak. People, it's getting their opinions on this screen is what's most important, not correctness. This is not that. Okay, every piece of writing you do in this class, whether it's a major assignment like the outline or the essay draft, or even if it's a message to me, should be striving for the highest level of professionalism. I'm usually not. I should be better about calling the students out on this. But sometimes, when I get the third message that's written in all lowercase, I'll make the reminder. Please, I don't write to you this way. Professionalism is important. And it is for this assignment as well. So my advice is, please proofread. Because the biggest issues I see is, people not capitalizing. So they type I instead of I. I'm typing these things in the chat so that people who are watching this video after the fact can't see so. Actually, you know what? I'll open up a Microsoft Word document real quickly. Right? They type lowercase I. And see, Microsoft Word automatically corrects it. So that's another reason why you should. I can't even get it to stick. But you know what I'm saying. Okay? Right? So they do this, or this, or that, instead of this. Okay? They also don't follow the rules of spacing. Okay? Remember last week when I was going through the layouts aspect of APA, I said that when you reach, the end of a sentence, you need to put 2 spaces after the period. So here's a period. Then you can write a new sentence. I'm sorry, this must be terribly dull to watch. I do not like, I like the new MacBook Pros overall, but the keyboards are so shallow. It's not that I can't type. I'm actually a good typist and a fast one, but I make so many errors because the keyboard is so shallow that I can't really feel the individual buttons or whatever you call them very clearly. But okay, when you get to the end of a sentence, I talked about this last week, period. 1 space, 2 space. Actually, I already had 2 spaces there. And then what I see a lot of in the peer review is stuff like this. Everything is smashed together. And then when it's not only smashed together, but lowercase, it just looks messy. And it's not just me being anal retentive or obsessive. It's tough on the eyes. It really is. Like now I need to start, and I see this a lot. And technically, I'm supposed to take off 5 points for every instance that a student does not begin a sentence with initial capitalization, does something like this, types lowercase. It's so stubborn because it refuses. I like this essay, right? Or I'm going to remember. I'm supposed to take off 5 points here, 5 points here, 5 points here for not capitalizing. And I try to limit it to the value for the grammar and mechanics category, which is 20 points. But technically, I'm supposed to go beyond those 20 points for grammar and mechanics. So even if the paper is like an 85, if there are 10 such errors like that, that's a loss of 50 points, making the paper a 35. Now, I know, again, not everybody loves me, but I really am the easiest instructor in the English department, because there are other instructors who will take off every 5 points for every instance of things like this, meaning that, yeah, it doesn't matter if the content of the paper is worth an 85. All those errors make it a 35. I try to limit it as a max of 20 points because that's usually a pretty big wake up call for students. But easy way to avoid it is just proofread, or as Joshua suggested, write your response first in Microsoft Word, because Microsoft Word will automatically even correct things, or if it doesn't correct it, we'll put little red squiggles underneath, meaning that you can. I think if I click on this. Oh, those are options to turn it off. But anyway, it flags the error. Okay, so yeah, that's like lack of specificity and lack of proofreading. Just treating this as a rush through assignment, and that rush through quality can be seen just in the sloppiness of what's been written. And again, I'm not talking about like esoteric things like commas being put in the right place, right, which befuddles lots of people, or I don't know, comma splices or things like. No, I'm talking about like the most basic things: capitalizing the first word of a sentence, putting a period and spaces after it. Um, don't do that, okay? Because that's where people lose points. Oh, no, this is going to be my final thing because I've actually gone longer than I planned. Promised. Peer review is the one activity I cannot extend. Like it's not me being mean. Like I literally cannot stop it. Peer review is already underway. It's already started. It ends Friday at midnight. I'm supposed to have it end. Can't remember if I'm supposed to have it end on Wednesday at midnight or Thursday at midnight. I extended all the way to Friday to give you guys as much time as possible, even though logically that doesn't make much sense because that only gives people Saturday and Sunday to review the feedback. But because I think so many people do wait until the weekend to turn their attention to the major assignments, maybe that's not a big deal. But yeah, when Friday at midnight comes and goes, I can't do anything. Like it's not that I don't want to. I would love to go in and say, sure, okay, it's a little bit late, but I'll give you one more day. Like I cannot. If I try to go in there right now and change the date, I'll get an error. So keep that in mind, please. I'll try to send out a reminder message announcement on FSO. But yeah, I cannot extend this one. Okay, so please get this done before Friday at midnight. And you have 2 papers to respond to, right? And it's pretty self-explanatory. It's a bit frustrating that I can't show the student's perspective of how it looks. Excuse me. But you'll be asked to, I think there's a button you have to press. It either says begin review or start review, but that's like what triggers the distribution of a paper. You don't have to complete it in one sitting. So if you do get tired and want to take a nap or want to go microwave a burrito, you can do so and then come back to it because it can save your work. I do not believe you can have 2 open at the same time, though. I could be wrong about that, but I think you have to accept one, finish it, not necessarily in one sitting, but finish it, and then, again, click a button that allows a second paper to be distributed. It's pretty intuitive. I don't really have problems with students not being able to figure it out, though I do wish I could actually show the steps in real time. William asks, is APA the only style still using 2 spaces after a period? I don't think it's APA only. I think MLA is the same. I mean, that's something. Remember, I said last week, I think, that I was in the last typing class that actually used typewriters. Like, this is something I remember from those days. 1987. I'm old. I'm 47 years old. I don't feel 47. I feel like a young virile Justin Bieber, but I guess I'm mid-century almost. But yeah, in 1987, we were on electronic typewriters, and it was period, hit your space bar twice, and keep going. Um, I don't know. Has anybody else taken an official typing class? I seem to remember that. I mean, I do believe that there probably are, maybe like in specific publications or online things where maybe for whatever reason they just have a rule where it's one space. But no, I think universally it's period, two spaces. Try it sometime in Microsoft Word. Put one space instead of two. To me, it looked crowded, right? Because, oops. Right? I mean, to most people, they probably wouldn't even notice the difference, but already to me, that looks crowded. Like, that looks normal to me. And by the way, if it were too many spaces, I think, well, actually, no, I don't think it triggers an error, right? It doesn't let me know. But yeah, I think I think two spaces is universal. If you can tell, we've gotten into the minutia now. So literally, this was the final point I wanted to make. I do apologize. I said it was going to be about 30 minutes. We actually went 40 minutes. I will hang out and answer questions about not only this week's assignments, but anything regarding the class as a whole or this entire month. But yes, we have reached the end of the lecture, so you do not have to stick around. I thank you so much for attending all month long, those of you who have been here every week. Really, I appreciate it. And I do think it helps, right? I do think that almost everyone here is doing well in the class. That's not an accident. People attend or watch lectures. You don't have to attend, but you do have to watch. Yeah, they have fewer problems, right? So thank you so much for your hard work every week, and that includes showing up or watching the lectures. Well, I won't turn this into a cheerful goodbye because I'll still hear from you this week through FSO. But I'll hang out a little bit and answer some questions if you have them, okay? You are welcome, Mr. Connors. Yeah, I like these lectures. I mean, in theory, I could just produce like a solid lecture because I cover the exact same material every month. But yeah, it has a different feel to it. It also keeps me on my toes, re-delivering it every month. And I don't know, there's something kind of unteacherly, if I could make up that word, about just everything being content on demand. Like, here are the videos you need to watch. Here's this, here's that, and I'm just basically grading stuff. So yeah, I look forward to the hour we have together every week. And I do think it's important because, like, quite literally, I'm not talking like big picture stuff like it's going to change your life or you're going to have a renewed sense of what writing is all about. No, I mean like just literally doing well in the assignments, because I spend less time than other instructors talk about pathos and ethos and prefer just to jump right into the assignments. Like, here's what you need to do. Have a good night, Brittany. Well, she's gone. Anthony's the only person here still. Yeah, Anthony, I'll read that email. And I'm sorry to hear that you're going through the computer issues. Hope this gets solved. But yeah, when emergencies like that happen, I'm pretty flexible. So don't panic. Don't worry. I have one more thing to say to you, but I'm going to stop the recording first because I don't think this one's to go out to everybody. So I'm going to stop the recording now.